second, and there it is. Good evening and welcome to Board of Adjustment. For those of you in the audience who have not attended one of these hearings recently, please allow me to review our normal procedure. Staff will introduce each item for consideration. If you would like to speak, please fill out one of the forms that looks like this that are out in the lobby and indicate the item number and whether you're for or against the item. And when you do that, after you finish filling it out, if you'd please give it to the clerk. As we proceed through the agenda, the applicant and the applicant's supporters will be heard first. Those in opposition to the request will be heard next, and following that, the applicant will be given a chance for rebuttal. Comments should be restricted to pertinent information regarding the agenda item under discussion. We don't listen to discussions about whether people don't like each other or homeowners association disputes or anything like that. If you are an individual, you'll have 3 minutes for your comments. If you represent an organization or a group, you will be given 6 minutes. Speakers should move closer to the podium when their item is being presented by staff. And speakers should identify themselves clearly for the record by stating their name and their address. Each speaker should be given respect and courteous attention. The board may ask questions of speakers or staff members, and information like photos and site plans and drawings and things presented at the public hearing will be kept as part of the public record. I will then ask for a motion from the board, and once a motion has been made and seconded, discussion will be closed to the floor. Following board discussion, a vote will be taken. During voting, board members who do not cast objecting votes will be considered to have voted in support of the application, or of the motion, I should say. Any person aggrieved by any decision of this board may, within 15 days, file an appeal to the Board of County Commissioners, and staff can help you with that after the meeting. Having said that, item number 1, please.
Good evening, Angie Gates. Item number 1 is a request for a side street south setback variance from 5 feet to 0 feet for a fence in the R1A Single Family Dwelling District in the Fox Run subdivision located at 3480 Harrow Lane. The front of the house faces Harrow Lane, and the Park Road side is where the variance is being sought. The existing privacy fence encroaches 5 feet into the required side street setback, and the applicant has stated that the existing fence is 16 feet from the sidewalk and 23 feet from the edge of pavement. Traffic engineering has no objection to the placement of the fence as it relates to site visibility. On March 26, 2024, the Seminole County Building Department issued a building code violation, case number 24-96 for the installation of a fence without the required permit. And on April 8th, 2024, the property owner submitted for a building permit. At the time, it was determined that a side street setback variance would be required. There have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Ms. Gates, quick one for me. The applicant in their notes had mentioned that the fence was erected by the prior owner. This may not be a fair question, but does staff have any knowledge of when that that fence was erected?
The vinyl fencing was put up around 2010, according to the aerials.
10. Mm-hmm. Wow, we're just now getting around to it.
Excuse me. In 2010, I have an aerial that shows that the fence was just a wood privacy fence. And sometime in like 2020, according to the aerials, the vinyl was put up.
Gotcha, thank you. Is the applicant here? Come on down, please, sir. If you'd come to the podium, please, and just share with us your name and address, just for the record.
Come sit next.
Eduardo Ramirez, 3480 Harrow Lane, Oviedo, Florida, 32765.
Do you have anything you'd like to share, sir, beyond what staff had shared?
We bought the property in 2007. The fence was installed that way since we've had it for 17 years. A few years ago, hurricanes came through, wood panels went down, and we decided to replace them with vinyl. We didn't do all the fencing around the property vinyl, just that street section. And I don't know, maybe 6-7 months ago, we rented a pod and it was there for more than 3 months. The city noticed, and then the fencing thing came up. But it's been that way for 17 years, and the prior owner had actually ran that fence line that way.
So I'm hearing, if I'm hearing you correctly, that the wooden fence fell down and you replaced it with the vinyl?
That's correct.
And when did you put up the vinyl?
Around 2020.
On 2020?
Yeah.
Got you. Gentlemen, any questions? All right. Anything else you'd like to share, sir?
No?
Have you spoken to your neighbors about this?
Yes, we put the placards up on both sides, and a few neighbors have come up to us and asked if we needed support at the meeting, and I said I think we should be okay. So that's about all they've asked.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Is there anyone here tonight who'd like to speak in support of the application? Seeing none, anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, we'll close the floor then. Gentlemen, your pleasure.
A motion to approve?
The motion approved from the vice chair, Mr. Kunzen, has seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, enjoy. Number 2, please.
Item number 2 is a request for one, a side yard south setback variance from 7.5 feet to 3 feet, and 2, a rear yard setback variance from 10 feet to 5 feet for a shed in the R1 Single Family Dwelling District in the Demarian's Addition subdivision located at 1581 Dixie Way. The proposed 160 square foot shed will encroach 4.5 feet into the required south side yard setback and 5 feet into the required rear yard setback. The rear of the property backs up to a 15-foot undeveloped alleyway, and there have not been any prior variances for the subject property, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? All right, seeing none, is the applicant here? Is there anything, you know, I wanted to ask that gentleman a question, but if, you don't have to come up if you don't want to add anything, but if you'd like to, please do come on up. Your call.
I will.
We like meeting new neighbors anyway. If you just share with us first your name and address, please.
My name is Debbie Spoto. My address is 1581 Dixie Way in Sanford. And the reason for requesting this variance is because I have a small yard. They put the septic leach lines in the back, like in the middle of my yard. And this is my only way of having the storage. I need the storage shed. And I really need storage because we have a small home. And I have lawn equipment out and so forth. But that's what I wanted to add. We do have undeveloped property in the back, and my neighbors are we're all family, and they have no opposition to anything, so that's it. Thank you.
Gentlemen, any questions? All right, thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone here to speak in support of this application? Is there any, oh, yes, ma'am, come on down, please.
No, I support it.
You want to come on?
No,
Yeah.
I can just stand here all day. But it
Well, we need to have you down here on the record, I'm sorry. Silly old rules, and
No, I support it because.
if you could give us your name and address, please.
Oh, my name is Mary Fisher, and I,
And what's your
I come
address, ma'am?
here
I'm
now.
sorry.
please,
And your address, please?
1581 Dixie Way,
Thank you, ma'am.
and I travel back and forth. But in a small yard with a septic, it's the only option with the limits on the yard to actually give that variance.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for this lady? Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else to speak in support? Seeing none, anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, your pleasure, gentlemen.
Mr. Chair,
Sir,
motion to approve?
motion to approve from Mr. Kunzen, is there a second?
Second.
Second from the vice chair. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, enjoy.
For the record, Robbie McHugh, Assistant County Attorney. I'd just like to note for the record that Mr. Carmine Bravo is now present for the meeting.
Thank you, sir. The Honorable Carmine Bravo, County Judge retired. All right, number 3, please.
Good evening. For the record, Hillary Payton, Planning and Development. Item number 3 is 3 variance requests for 1667 Kingston Road located in the Knollwood subdivision. The requests are for a rear yard setback variance from 35 feet to 10 feet and 2 south side yard setback variances from 20 feet to 7 feet for 2 accessory structures in the RC1 zoning district. The request is to bring into compliance the construction of 2 accessory structures built into the setbacks. The first structure is a 500-square-foot metal shed encroaching 25 feet into the rear yard setback and 13 feet into the south side yard setback. The second structure is a 160-square-foot shipping container encroaching 13 feet into the south side yard setback. A code enforcement violation number 23-268 was issued for the metal shed, resulting in the necessity of this variance. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? All right, is the applicant here? Please do come down, because I think we might have a few questions. Yes, sir. If you could share with us, please, your name and address.
My name is Yasser Musa, 1667 Kingston Road, and I'm the husband of.
Maribel Musa.
Welcome. What would you like to share with us?
To be frank with you, this shed, we built it for our girls to have a place to exercise, because due to the pandemic, they weren't able to exercise. So, we consulted a company, and they told us that, it was fine, and you didn't need any type of permits or anything like that. To be honest with you, it wasn't a malice type of situation.
Yeah, we're first responders, so during the pandemic, we needed a place to just come and unwind and be able to work out. And he surprised me with this because he saw the amount of pressure that we were on, and we didn't realize.
Can I approach the bench to show you?
The clerk can help you, but there's
So
a camera
that was
does
the reason why we did all this, and we had no idea that it wasn't supposed to be done,
Yeah,
and that it was illegal to have stuff like this on our property. That's why we're asking for the variance.
yeah. And the other situation was that we actually, after the situation, we having issues.
pardon us for technical difficulties.
So after the situation, we talked to our neighbors, and if you can see in the actual sketch of the property, if you don't mind. Best thing there is that flag.
Madam Clerk, if you could do us a favor, after all of that, I think the applicant's asking if we could switch over to the site plan
Yes,
view.
thank you. Thank you.
After all that.
Yeah, so if you can see that there's a neighbor here, and another neighbor here. So two of my neighbors, I spoke to them, and they didn't have
An issue.
an issue or any type of opposition about us having that type of situation. The neighbor on the back was actually the one who called the city and show up in our house about this whole situation. So,
Gentlemen, any questions for the applicant?
Yes, I have a question.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Pinson?
So, the 500-square-foot shed, the one in the back, the corner there, that's the gym.
Yes, sir.
What is the purpose of the shipping container on your
that's where I
property?
put my
Lawnmower.
lawnmower, my toolboxes.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's just something that way I don't have to put it in my garage.
And that was put on your property at the same time as the shed, or a different time?
No, sir, that was a different time. And again, I called companies and they told me that, shipping containers, you don't need anything. So again, it's something that, I'm in the healthcare profession. I'm not an engineer or anything like that.
Any other questions?
It's all about the you.
No suck up.
Question is, should we not approve this application, how difficult would it be just to move those to a different place, further away from the property line?
This one over here, it won't be that difficult, to be honest with you, but this one has a concrete base, so we would have to re-pour a concrete base and move it, I guess, to a different area.
Gotcha. Gentlemen, any other questions for the applicant? Thank you all so much for your input.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone here to speak in support of this matter? Seeing none, I have a comment form from Mr. Shannon. Mr. Shannon, would you like to come on down and share your thoughts?
I have a drawing.
Sure, the clerk can help you out with that.
Can she?
Can she, yeah.
No pressure.
Staff throwing shade at staff.
It's nothing but love.
That's all right. You should hear us all day over.
There's some behind it, so, sorry. I'll address the group.
Yes, sir.
I'm Ken Shannon. I live at 224 Adair Avenue. So I'm one of the 3 neighbors that is affected by this addition. I'm the whistleblower. I'm the guy that came and saw it. I didn't know it was going up because I was traveling when they put it up. Don't believe it was put up during COVID. I think it was put up after COVID. It's a steel structure. We have 1 acre lots in this subdivision, 1 acre. We have 35-foot setback. I'm an architect, so I know these rules. We have a 35-foot setback, and we have a 20-foot setback on the side. We live by those laws, and we don't have restrictive covenants in that neighborhood, but that's why we have the property values that we have, and we watch out for things like this. My backyard, this lot, you can't tell from the drawings, but the land slopes up, so I'm taking a photo from the backyard looking up towards that shed. My hedge is 6 or 7 feet tall. The next photo can show you something even give a little bit more sense of scale. That's me yesterday. That hedge is 7 to 8 feet tall, and that's the shed. And that shed is 77 inches from the boundary line. At the shortest point, 77 inches. It's a steel building in a neighborhood that has houses that are worth quite a lot. When I see things like that, I ask myself, why do we buy into neighborhoods like that? We buy because we know we have zoning that protects us. I'm a good neighbor. I talked to them and I said, what happened? Because I was thinking about building something myself. But I didn't build it because I didn't want to push into the setback lines, because I thought that was absolutely impossible to do. And I wasn't going to build a steel structure. I was going to build a guest house, which we need in Seminole County. But I would never do that. So I'm starkly opposed to it. I don't want to be a bad neighbor. Obviously, we want to be good neighbors, but we can't have things like that happening in the neighborhood without repercussions. And I got to believe in a 1 acre lot, Mr. Chairman, your comment about how hard it is to move that, I totally agree. Take a look at the site plan, you can see that's a 1 acre lot. There's a lot of places you could have put that shed, not on the property line, not looking right into my backyard.
Gotcha. Gentlemen, any questions for this gentleman?
Did you get an estimate of what it would take for the owner? Do you have an estimate of what it would take to move the big building?
Judge, I apologize. If they do have a chance for a rebuttal. Let's get them back up here before we...
Okay.
Should I sit down?
Just a second. And for the board, any questions for Mr. Shannon? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For the applicant, if you'd like to come back up, you have a chance for rebuttal.
Yes, sir.
But I think also the judge has a question for you.
To be honest with you, Judge,
Well, I hope from the beginning that everything you said you were being honest.
absolutely.
So we're not doing a change of pace now?
No, sir.
You're being honest, okay.
No. To answer your question, sir, to be honest with you, in order for me to move that, I have to tear everything up.
Yeah.
That's basically, it costs us about $17,000.
Oh.
So I would have to tear everything up and resubmit all the plans to the county and do everything. One of the rebuttals, Your Honor, is that his property is actually sloping up. My property is higher, so his shed, the hedges are not 7 feet tall, sir. They're 6 feet, and they're right across the line, and I can show you a picture of that if you
He already
want.
did. I see that. I can understand that.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, gentlemen, for all this here? Anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Just you can sit down if you'd like.
Mr. Chair,
Sir,
I have a question for staff.
please.
I would look this up myself, but the Wi-Fi doesn't have an internet connection. Can you please verify with the aerial photos? Are you able to verify with the aerial photos when these structures appeared in the backyard?
I don't have a laptop to look that up. I don't know if Kathy can.
Kathy Hamill, Development Services, and Jay, you can confirm. I have October 2023, the aerial shows that it has been constructed. January 2023 says that it was not there, so it was done somewhere between January 2023 and October 2023,
Is that both structures or just the big shed?
just the big shed.
Okay. What about the first one, the shipping container?
There is a structure there, and I think the shipping container is black.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing that's there is, hey Jay, can you toggle? Do you have a pen? Okay, so here's the, here's the corner right here. There is a white structure right here. And you can see in this location that there is nothing there. And so that's January 2023. And now I'm going to go, there, that's still January 2023. And now here's the aerial from October. And you can see that this structure right now is now black, and you can see the 500-foot shed is there. And that's October of 2023. So I believe that both of these were placed, he must have replaced the one that was white with the shipping container. This one right here, right here?
No, the shipping container was noticed because because of the other one.
No, what I'm stating is that there was a white structure there before, and it appears as though that you replaced the white structure with the shipping container.
We painted it.
You painted it.
Yes, that's what it was.
That's the mystery. They painted it.
Gotcha. Does that answer your question, Mr. Crimson?
And I can
It
try
does.
to go in closer, and then that's it, closer.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
Very
Thank you,
helpful,
ma'am.
thank you.
And just for housekeeping, I think I might have jumped across things a little quick, getting back to rebuttal. Is there anyone else in the audience to speak in support or opposition to this who hasn't already spoken? All right, good. We'll close the floor then. Gentlemen, your thoughts? Or, let me put it this way, is there a motion? Then we'll discuss.
I'll move to deny.
We have a motion to deny from the judge. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion to deny in a second. Let's talk about this for a second. Judge, what were your thoughts?
Well, the first thing that, respectfully to the gentleman, or maybe it was the lady who said they didn't know the rules before they did it. And one of the things I did for 18 years, over 50 years actually, was small claims court. And one of the things that you tell people when they come is that you're responsible, if you don't bring a lawyer, you're responsible to know the law. And you did a major production, it's a large building, and it's going to cost you plenty to move it. And I just think it violates by 2/3 of the distance.
Anyone else want to share?
So I don't know if it was last month or the month prior, but, when we were talking about, we were discussing a decision, and you actually, I think, eloquently put it, it's kind of like a game of Monopoly or Uno, everybody has house rules, and as long as everybody agrees, there's harmony and peace. And, And in this case, we clearly don't have harmony, in my opinion, with the neighbors. And, regardless if the hedge is 6 feet or 12 feet, it does certainly tower over the hedges, whether it's an upslope, downslope, or sideways slope. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Gotcha. Anyone else want to share a thought?
Mr. Chair,
Sir?
understanding that this is a situation that's already been created, it's already in place, I would ask if there's mitigative techniques that could be used. Shield, I know the hedge up behind the shed is 6, 7 feet, wherever it's described, but some type of planting, trees, canopy or something that would visually, restrict from the rear neighbor. That might be something to be looked at. There's a cost involved, but it's significantly probably a cost that may not be different than moving, a facility like this.
To that point, I mean, is that something that we could, maybe do a continuance, send back to staff to see if there are mitigative procedures rather than us rule on it per se?
And I'm sorry to overspeak, but, I mean, at this point, I'd almost ask, if it's something that, we can ask the applicant and/or maybe the person who's agreed by this to see if that was an option, before we just make a decision on continuing.
It is an option for the Board of Adjustment to recommend appropriate conditions of approval that would make it more compatible.
Well, we can do that, but what we can also do is ask the applicant, who always, of course, has the right to say no, but ask the applicant if they'd be open to the idea of us continuing the matter while he perhaps has discussions with his neighbors to find a middle ground.
Right, yes.
So having said that, sir and ma'am, I'll come to the podium so that your answer can be heard over the microphone. You might be able to see where, there is a motion to deny it.
Absolutely.
Would you be open to the idea, and you have an absolute right to say no, you want to go forward with your application, but would you be open to the idea of us continuing, which means we wouldn't rule tonight, we'd push it to next month's meeting, and maybe give you time to chat with your neighbor and see if there's any kind of middle ground that you all can reach, because we're only allowed to say, in essence, yes or no.
One of the things that we were talking about was to put bamboo, basically hedges, to cover the height of the property. That way, the neighbor doesn't see that type of situation. And if he agrees, he's over here. So if he agrees with that, then I don't have a problem with that, sir. And I would be greatly appreciative of that.
Or, something else we could do, and again, pending y'all's pleasure also, is we have 3 more items to discuss. We could perhaps postpone voting on this until the end of the meeting, if y'all would like to go out to the lobby. And if you'd be open to a discussion. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Would you be open to that? And we can maybe circle back at the end of the meeting?
Sorry. Mr. Chair.
Sir.
I'd be happy to do that.
What?
I'd be happy to talk.
Yeah, but why don't y'all maybe go out just to the lobby, and we can pause this. Staff, any reason not to?
I believe our county.
Yeah, if we could dispose of the primary motion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And then we'll need a motion to table.
So, Judge, would you be open to withdrawing your motion?
Well, I have a question first.
Sure.
And that is there a foundational basis for the distances for the setbacks? In other words, there's something explained, these are the distance for the setbacks, this is the reason. Now, I don't know if they do that or not at this level. I know in the statutes, quite frequently, there's an explanation of why that became the law, but
I think the land development code just speaks for itself.
Right. The setbacks are established for compatibility. For structures that are over 200 square feet, it has to meet the same setback as the house because of its size. If it's under 200 feet, we allow the structure to meet the side yard setback of the zoning classification, but this is RC1. Hillary, the RC1, what's the rear yard? It's different for this
It's
one.
30 feet?
The same as?
20.
Okay, so it's the side yard that's 20, that's a lot larger than other zoning
Yeah, so
classifications?
it's 20 on each side.
Okay, it's 20 on each side. So that is for zoning purposes, it's for compatibility.
And that's the extent of the explanation, is what it is, okay.
So as a first matter of housekeeping, Judge, as you know, of course, you
I'll
don't have to.
withdraw my motion.
Okay. So is, the chair would entertain a motion to table this matter to the end of the meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Sir,
motion to table this item till the end of the meeting, please.
from the vice chair, do we have a second?
Second?
Second from Mr. Coonson. All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so if y'all would just, with your neighbor, go out in the lobby and see if you can work something out. Nobody is obligated to have to do anything, but when you come back, we will take a vote.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right, next one then, please.
Item number 4 is a variance request for 6070 Twin Lakes Drive located in the Twin Lakes Manor subdivision. The request is for a south side yard setback reduction from 7.5 feet to 1.5 feet for a shed in the R1A zoning district. The request is to replace an existing 8x12 shed with a 12x16 shed 6 feet into the south side yard setback. The new shed will be placed approximately in the same location as the current shed, 1.5 feet from the side yard setback. The existing shed is placed in its current location for the protection of the existing well, pressure tank, water conditioning system, and electrical connections. The proposed shed will also now serve in this capacity, but will be larger to allow for the storage of a riding lawnmower and other equipment. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? All right, seeing none. Is the applicant here? Would you come on up, sir, because I think we might have a question or two for you. And just for the record, if you'd please share with us your name and address.
Good evening, I'm Brandon Singer, 6070 Twin Lakes Drive, Oviedo.
Thank you, Mr. Singer. Anything you want to add to what staff had said?
I've had this existing shed there for nearly 40 years that protects my water equipment. We've got the floor cut out so that the shed protects it. It's an old plastic one that we got from Sears 30, 40 years ago. Can't even begin to tell you. And because of that, when I went to get new sheds, I wanted to go ahead and make sure that the shed would be able to go ahead and have its floor cut out so that it would be set in that same parameter of it, that same layout, but just make it a little bit bigger, 4 feet wider, 4 feet longer, and be able to put my new riding lawnmower in there because it's now 52 inches and I have a 48-inch door. I can't get it through the thing. So one thing begat another begat another. So I know that the tough shed, it will be engineered and designed to go ahead and do that, but I just need to have that variance so that we can protect the water equipment. I used to have these Home Depot plastic water softeners, and the sun would just eat up the plastic and deteriorate it in a matter of months. After going through 3 of them, I finally got smart enough to go ahead and stick a shed over it. So I know it's protecting the equipment. I need to go ahead and protect the equipment still. So that's the long and short of it.
Got you. Gentlemen, any questions?
Would the new shed be the same location and parameters as the old shed? Are you just placing tit for tat?
So this is the edge that's most important, and this is the inside of the wall that protects all of this equipment, which is approximately 6 feet in depth, approximately 4 feet wide. The shed will be coming out 4 feet and coming another 4 feet out this way. So this is currently 8 by 12. This will be 12 by 16. 4 feet longer, 4 feet out. But that same wall, at that same location of this wall is critical because that's what protects this.
Okay. That's your question, Judge?
No, I don't understand.
You're saying it's 4 feet wider and 4 feet longer?
I understand that
Yeah.
part. Why does it need to be?
Because if I go by the rules, then this will be 10 feet over from the property line. And what is not seen is that there's a sidewalk that goes down towards the lake, and that shed would be sitting on top of the sidewalk.
But the old one doesn't now, does it?
No, sir.
Why can't you just replace the new one with the same parameters as the old one?
Because I can't get my lawnmower in the door.
Oh, I thought this was to protect the,
It will do
Water-
double duty. It
You
will
want
not
additional-
only protect my water system, but it'll also allow me to go
Yeah,
ahead and
additional
drive the
use, okay.
lawnmower
I
in there
got
to
you.
protect the lawnmower.
wow.
Any other questions?
And it's
for the
wearing
applicant?
out. The plastic is wearing out.
Mr. Evans, did you have a question?
Yeah, I've got one question. So currently, the shed is that most important wall that you were pointing out.
Yes.
That is the one closest to like a fence or some sort of barrier?
That
for
is
your property line?
the southern property line, if you will.
So then, the side that you're going 4 feet, let's call it lengthwise or widthwise, it's going towards the pavers, not towards the?
Correct.
Okay, so you're extending further into your property.
Into my property,
The
yes.
major boundary that's been there for 40 years is not changing.
That is not, yeah, that remains
Okay.
exactly the same print.
Mr. Singer, have you chatted with your neighbors about it?
Yes, they have no objections, and everybody is happy for me to see that happen.
Good stuff. Gentlemen, any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience, or anyone in the audience to speak in support? Do we have anyone here to speak in opposition? Seeing none, gentlemen, your pleasure.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve?
Mr. Evans moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Vice Chair, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, sir, enjoy. One more here, then we'll bring back our friends.
Now, he's got to cut the grass.
There we go, there's number 5.
Are we ready for item number 5?
Yes, please.
Item number 5 is 4 variance requests for Lot 5 on Pine Street, located in the Casavilla Heights subdivision. The requests are for a front yard setback reduction from 50 feet to 25 feet, the 2 side yard setback variances from 10 feet to 5 feet 10 inches, and a rear yard setback variance from 30 feet to 25 feet for a single-family dwelling in the A1 zoning district. The request is to construct a 2,551 square foot single-family dwelling encroaching into all 4 setbacks. It would encroach 25 feet into the front, 4 feet 2 inches into each side, and 5 feet into the rear. In 1960, the A1 zoning district was established with a lot area requirement of 10,000 square feet and the lot width requirement of 100 feet. This rendered lots within the Casavilla Heights plat non-conforming to the A1 zoning criteria. Today's requirements for the A1 zoning district are 43,560 square feet and 150 feet for the lot width. The majority of the lots located within Casavilla Heights subdivision are the same size as this lot, to 8,250 square feet. On October 22nd, 1990, the Board of Adjustment granted a lot size variance from 43,560 square feet to 8,250, and a width at building line variance from 150 feet to 75 feet at the subject property. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Gentlemen, any questions for staff? Is the applicant here?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything you'd like to add to what staff had shared with us?
No, right now.
All right, gentlemen, do you have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, is there anyone here in the audience to speak in support of this matter? Seeing none, anyone in the audience to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Gentlemen,
Mr. Chair.
Sir.
Move to approve.
motion to approve, Mr. Kunzen. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from the judge. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Good luck with your new house.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's circle back to our friends. We'll find our place on our agendas. If you'd come on up to the podium, sir. Were y'all able to reach terms?
If you want to ask Mr. Kenneth, yeah, we are absolutely
Well,
agreed.
here's the thing, you tell me what it is, and we'll take some notes, I'll take some notes.
Well, we definitely agreed to put hedges, that's all. No. Well, that's why I'm asking you to come over here, because I agreed to put the hedges.
Let me put it to you this way, and sir, if you could come down, I'll ask a question to you.
And for the
good.
record, this is item number 3.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Shannon, if you just, I'm sorry, I need you at the microphone. Do you feel like you guys have come to an agreement that if we approve it, it will allow what's there to stay where it is?
Unfortunately, I don't. I don't. And
Okay.
I'm not just talking about myself. I'm talking about the residents of our community, of our development. And for this kind of thing, this is why we have setback lines. This is why we have building restrictions. This is why we don't just build stuff without coming to you all, asking for approval.
I hear, but I think to answer my question, it's no.
I don't see a way.
Okay.
I want to be a good neighbor, and I want to come up with a solution that makes everybody happy. And I think there probably is a good solution that doesn't make a 35-foot setback line necessary. I think that's excessive. It is the setback line, 35 and 20. I think there's a solution. Unfortunately, there's a cost associated with the solution.
To your mindset, what is the solution? Moving the items?
Do we have the site plan? I think that of all the places to put a gym, and I have a gym too, of all the places to put a gym, there's a nice spot in the back of the property, right about here.
All right, good. Here's the thing, I don't want us to go too deep into this. The question is, could you all reach a compromise tonight? We couldn't, so we need to go back to making our decision. So thank you all very much for trying that. I think you're to be commended for that.
Yeah.
We have a job to do now, so
Yeah, thank you.
I think to my board members, there was a time when I would suggest maybe a continuance, but I don't think we're there, but y'all might disagree. So we're back to now seeking the pleasure of this board.
Chairman,
Sir, ma'am,
if I may.
yes.
There was a couple statements previously when we talked about this, so I just want to clear up for the record. This is Nasa Borkert, Deputy County Attorney, for the record. Number one is you absolutely have the ability to condition any variance approvals. So if you feel as though the issue here is compatibility, is not adequate buffering between uses, if that's the issue, you absolutely have the ability to require some type of planting, buffering around the existing units to try to get to that compatibility. That, I'm not at all, I'm just giving you options. So I just wanted to make that clear that that's an option for you too. And the second thing is just, and I always relay this, go back to your criteria, go back to the criteria that's required under the variance, and, base your opinion on that. So that's just my two comments.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so what is this board's pleasure?
Renew my motion to deny.
All right, a motion to deny from the judge. Tom, you're
I'll renew
second?
my second.
Let's talk about it for a second. From my perspective, and I think I'm a broken record, I think Mr. Evans had kind of encapsulated my thoughts on things in general, is that I think folks have a right to stand on the rules. You buy property subject to the land development code, and everybody has the right to say, I expect the rules to be complied with. And if people can work out a compromise, great, but if they can't, the rules are the rules. And that can be harsh sometimes, and it can lead to situations like this where the folks have to, goodness, they're gonna have to spend some money coming into compliance, but, as the judge said, we all have to know the rules of the game, we have to know the law. Those are my thoughts, but I'd love to hear what y'all think.
I think coming back to conditioning as well is, in this case, we tried to create harmony by allowing them to come back to a compromise, and it's not really our job to create the harmony in the space, so that's kind of where I'm at on it.
Any other thoughts?
Mr. Chair?
Sir?
I know you've mentioned it, people before us have come and spoke, have mentioned, obviously, there's a set of guidelines that were set up with the plat, where the setbacks were established. It's the norm, try to maintain it. But as a board, we also have a method here that allows us to grant a variance. One of those things is hardship, understanding this is a hardship on the applicant, which is identified in one of our conditions, for them to move it. There is and I'm based on what and I apologize, I don't have the gentleman's name, but the neighbor who, showed the picture of, that he has to look at the top of that building. There is a mitigative technique that could be used vegetatively that could shield that. Be no different if the gentleman planted trees back there and you'd have to look at the trees. There is a way to do that we are allowed to put on as a condition of the approval. It's still a financial hardship to the applicant, he has to do that, but I understand there's, this is a one-to-one relationship. There's 3 neighbors, 2 say it's okay, 1 doesn't. But there's one that has weight, weight. I'm not saying he doesn't have weight, but, I'm more in line to finding a technique that will shield the obstruction from his view and move on without having to cause a situation where they have to pick up and physically move something at a much higher cost, that's all. That's my opinion.
And you know how much respect I have for you, but just to make a comment on one of the things you had said is that there is hardship that we can consider, but it can't be a self-inflicted hardship. And-
Understood.
Yeah, and,
No, and I'm not arguing that, belittling that point, so.
are you asking Judge to amend his motion?
As far as the discussion at the moment, no, that's really just till you decide to move forward beyond discussion. That would be potentially the next thing I would ask.
Well, we've got a motion in a second. Now would be the time, because otherwise the next step is to call the vote.
Well, again, there's no reason for me to amend a motion to deny.
Okay.
I'm not in favor of denying it. I'm in favor of providing a
You're right.
mitigative
Yeah,
technique,
you're
so
right. Yeah.
I'm not really sure what I could amend to it.
I'd like to comment to that, because granted, there are ways that they could come up with to modify the surroundings so that it wouldn't be viewed. But for us to take a position on that tonight might be imposing on them something they wouldn't, either of them would want. And it would be something that if they brought it back and said, we went home, we talked about it, we looked at plan A, B, C, and D, and we can live with this, can you accept that? But I think we're dead in the water at the moment.
No, I mean,
We shouldn't decide
understanding, we tried to do that a little
Yeah.
bit tonight. The applicant is willing to do something. The neighbor is basically affirmative, saying, no, it's, hold to the setback and move the structure. But the one thing I'll disagree is that we do have the ability to add that condition as a mitigative technique. The neighbor can agree to it, or he can appeal it, based on that decision, versus us just denying it. If we deny it, the applicant has to move it, and,
There's only one which is sufficient to block it, but how many times, to go back to a sports analogy, because we got Canes and Gators in the room, have there been 1-point games that made the difference in the season? One vote's one vote, and it carries weight.
so back to your original question, I don't think there's anything I can amend to at this point, so.
Gotcha. All right, let's call the question then. With a motion to deny all, Mr. Evans, I'm
I
sorry?
think Tom has a-
Oh, Mr. Kunzen, I'm sorry.
We spoke just now about how if we vote to deny the application, it would create a hardship on the applicants. However, as you said, it is a hardship of the applicant's own making. This is not the construction from a previous owner of the property, a situation that they happened to inherit. This is a situation that they created for themselves. If they had come to us with a variance request with that portion, with the construction not already having been done, and they came to us asking for permission to put those structures where they are, with the size of the lot and the character of the neighborhood, I'm very confident in saying we probably would not approve that variance request because, unless you have a good reason, such as earlier tonight, we had very tight, small lots with drain fields and such where you couldn't move your shed. This is a very big lot. There's plenty of space where these structures could have been put that would not have violated the setback requirements, and this wouldn't have been an issue in the first place. And maybe the structure still would have been visible from the neighbor's yard, and, well, he wouldn't have had any recourse to complain about it because it would have been adhering to the setback requirements. But these structures are not adhering to the setback requirements.
I think it's an excellent point. Anything else y'all want to share before I call the question? All right, so we have a motion to deny. Those in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
All right, it passes 4-1. And I'm sorry, but the application's been rejected. If you want to appeal to the county commission after the meeting, staff can help you with that. With that, we don't have minutes to go over, so we'll deal with that next month. And unless there's anything else y'all would like to discuss, we'll be adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you also very much.
If
Oh,
you
Ms.
guys
Gibb?
can just hold 1 second.
Okay.
I know we've adjourned the meeting.